Okay, guys. So the debate question is affirmative action a good public policy? We'll start with Team A, team who agrees, and then we'll go on to Team B. If I'd ask maybe that you guys close your laptops while others are speaking. Remember, you need to prepare questions as well. So we'll go ahead and start with person 1 on Team A.
Hello class, my name is Fatal Saud, and our team agrees with the situation of approval of affirmative action. It is important and must be done by the government. Black people are 15% of the US population. They pay taxes for the government, which funds the universities that are allowed to stay just 15% of them. In our point of view, we think that black people can attend any university and easily accept it because they pay taxes for the government, which helps the university of being a better university. If the administration is racist, then the affirmative action will make them accept any black student. So do you think that well-educated black students may attend these schools, or just because they're black, they won't be able to attend? And that's why we agree with affirmative action, and it's important for the community and minorities.
Thanks for that. Are you posted 2 as well?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Do you start now?
Mm-hmm.
We are on the side of the poor people that can't say things, but they can't change it. So we will do our best, for helping them and make people equal. So if white people can do something, then black people can do the same thing without no excuse or no racial thing. Because they're black, they can't do it. Because they're white, they can do it. And no one is better than the other. So 15% chances for black people to enter a university is a good thing, because the population of the blacks in the US is 15%, so they can't make it 50%, because all of the black people will go to one university and stay there. So everyone deserves a chance in getting in the university. So if black people are well educated and they pay the government taxes, then they have the right to attend these schools. If they don't, then people will not be equal, and the schools will lose the chance to get a better educated student, and he's black. It's not to be white or black. So maybe black is well-educated student and the white is not. So if they don't accept the black because of the white, then it's gonna be chaos. It's gonna be chaos. Yes, thank you very much.
Normally in the debate you don't clap, but that's okay. Okay, let's go over to team B.
Я не знаю, что я буду говорить.
Я вообще только проснулся и забыл все написать.
А у меня нет просто никак.
Я так и знал. Только импровизация, только хардкор.
So can I start?
Mm-hmm.
So discrimination is a good solution for resolving discrimination in the past? Of course not. So originally the affirmative action was made to stop the racism in many countries, but instead it's just another way of racism. When people get judged by their skin color And gender, it is discrimination itself. Instead of choosing the best candidates for a job, school, or university, mostly for a job university, sometimes the company or university have to choose not the best candidate that they want, whether black or a female, because they need to get a certain percent with them in their university or just job place. So, as long as affirmative action hurts some other social classes and add discrimination in it, and it's still not colorblind, we can't call this program a good one. So why certain people should get a special performance? Of course, my answer is that in the past they were discriminated against, mostly black people, but still were not responsible for mistakes of our ancestors.
Okay.
I'm also person.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
So as you understood, our group is against affirmative action. We don't really think that it's useful as long as it has discrimination in it. We don't think that discrimination of just another social class is good. So to support our thesis, we'll present you three data. One is real story. One data will present the thoughts of scientist named Jay Green that will present the percent of black students who drop their schools and then sometimes applies to university. Present you data from Ivy League of black student that got accepted to universities, but because they're not smart enough, I would say they just get kicked out from there. At a conclusion, Bruce will summarize it.
Okay. Thank you.
Иди нахрен, ты мою идею взял.
Не надо критиковать все.
Share time. It's a question.
Вопросы сейчас. Вопросы
We need
сейчас.
to ask for.
Question, да.
We need to ask a question. Yeah, we do questions now. Yeah. Okay. I give 1 minute.
I think it's after us being forward that ask each other questions.
It's between 2 and 3, and then 4 and 5, and then 6 and 7. So team A, you've got 1 minute. We'll have to keep this relatively short to ask questions to team B.
Okay, I have a question to you.
Okay.
He said that affirmative action is as a way of racism in the USA. So why do you call it racism if there is a 100%, 80% of white people and 15% of black people and they pay taxes? So and state universities that receive money from the universities, why they would accept more whites or more black people? Why they would do it? If you are a black person, you pay taxes, you have a chance to get there because you're paying for education.
But still, like, we're saying that we need to have talent, not just because, like,
No, you
black
said it
person
is
have
racism.
smart-
I'm asking you about
Yes,
racism.
it's racism
We should
because when you judge people like skin color, gender,
Yes.
you just
We
discriminate
should
another social
separate
class.
American people
But
into white and
Yeah,
black.
but if
They're only American.
you're right, that's
Wait,
wrong.
wait,
but if there is
ask
no
your
affirmative
question.
action, they won't accept them because they're black.
Not because they're black. If they're not smart enough,
So
if they
black
don't have
people
these
aren't
talents,
smart enough?
they just don't want to accept them.
No, that does not mean.
Because
Okay, guys, I gotta
university,
stop you there. Let's flip the other side. Team B, questions for Team A?
But I didn't speak for 3-4%. Just
Okay, we'll go into that next. We're asking for Farhan.
okay. That's
What did they say wrong?
I'm thinking.
Google. I can give you a question to ask.
okay, you said like all black students had a chance only of 15% to get university. Why is that? They have like space for 15% of their population.
Yeah.
So they,
affirmative action is
so the best like
because
15% of all black people that apply to university will get accepted. Doesn't matter how smart they are.
Yeah, but not like all black.
Doesn't mean it
Doesn't
not
mean-
like this. No,
Doesn't mean
15%
that
is not just people who are going to be accepted. There is already maybe 14% or maybe I don't know, and then the 1% already graduated. So they have to make sure that other 1% will come to university because black people are paying taxes. That's why. It's
Okay,
not
guys,
going
let's
to
stop
be
it there.
just 1 year 15% of black people come
Just-
here or whatever.
Because we had a little bit of a late start, we need to move on. So, Igor, you want to go ahead with person 3?
Okay, why are my team saying that affirmative action is good? Because of the history. The one story happened, I think, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago when you imagine you watching a movie with your father, and after your father told you, okay, if you want some candies, go and buy into shop, the closest shop. So the guy went to the shop and he was black, and after he was coming back with just candies, with a hoodie on, like this, Bruce, you see, and another white guy, I don't know, he probably was racist, he just shoot him 3 times. Is it okay, you say? Bruce, is it okay?
No.
Okay, nice. That's why we think that affirmative action is good in the country that's called USA, because of their history, and their history of racism, slavery, and segregation, discrimination of black people. Government's probably scared about that the same thing can happen one more time. Discrimination can happen one more time. That, like, imagine you are racist, for example. I'm not saying that you're racist, and you're like headmaster of university. Of course, you wouldn't take any black people because you just don't like their skin color, huh? Imagine if that thing would happen. And I'm pretty sure that in USA, because of the history, there are still some racists. Because of affirmative action, they cannot discriminate or segregate black people from white people. That's why we think that affirmative action is really good thing.
Continue.
Okay, I'm person 4 too.
Okay.
It's about the statistics thing. Okay, by statistic, I read in the articles in CNN, BBC, and a lot of news articles. There was a statistic about that some black people that even more smarter than white people, they get accepted really easy to the universities, and white people get accepted to really nice universities because of their brains or whatever. But sometimes it happens when there is like 14% yes, and they have to for example accept one more black person. So what they do, they just take really smart guy, but maybe he has a little bit GPA lower than white person, yeah, and they still will accept black person because of affirmative action. Why it's good? Because it gives chance to black people to study in the same universities as white people. Yes. Other thing that black people, because of the history of USA, they never had a chance to study. And there's Hamilton in the debates that we watched with Mr. Dupree said that affirmative action was for whole history of USA, but it just was other way. So white people were allowed to go to universities, and black people just weren't able to do it. And there were some schools that even didn't like just, okay, this is school just for white people, this is just school for black people. Is it okay? Bruce, is it okay?
No.
That's why affirmative action is good. So black people and white people can study in one place together, even if there is a headmaster is racist. That's why we think that affirmative action is really good for the country, like you say.
No.
So, yeah, I got the speech. one of them. So I'll speak for Gustavo using the speech that he wrote, not my words, his words. Okay. So affirmative action does more harm than good. You can't cure discrimination with discrimination. Political scientist Jay Green found that only 20% of African American students and 16% of Hispanics leave high school with the minimum credentials. The problem in college admissions admitting more minorities comes all the way from high school, especially from public schools, giving this sufficient credentials to students coming from minorities. The problem is not in every college, but in the top 30% of selective universities. Okay. Now a minority group might feel that they should be hired for a job or accepted to a college just because they come from that minority group, not because of the merit that they have. However, it's our opinion that affirmative action is wrong and that people should be hired because they work hard and because they have qualities. We call that merit. So, in effect, affirmative action actually, not only does it harm, is it discrimination, using discrimination to fight discrimination, it actually makes people feel entitled to getting things not based on their qualities, but based on the color of their skin. Oh, I'm also person 4.
But how will we be able to ask you a question about Gustavo's speech?
But you won't. Well, you won't be able to ask me. He didn't write a speech for person 4, so I'll use the other class's speech for person 4. This is written by Yuriko Kaku. She writes, the SAT is a standardized test, which is required by admission for many colleges and universities in the United States. Thus, the SAT score is one of the most important factors to measure a student's ability. And as you can see in the graph, the data, the table was founded by the National Center for Educational Statistics as part of the U.S. Department of Education. It shows the average SAT scores by race. As you can see, the score of African American students was lower on average almost every year. In the class of 2010, African American students received an average critical reading score of 429, which is about 70 points lower than the average of all students. Especially when you compare the score of African American students to the score of white students, you can see a great difference of their academic capacities. Furthermore, math scores had similar gaps almost every year. As I've already mentioned at the beginning, SAT score is a significant information for college admission to choose the most suitable students. Therefore, in my opinion, Yuriko's opinion, the huge gap should not be filled by affirmative action. And the source was National Center for Education Statistics. Okay, guys, let's go back to the question and answers. So, Team A, you got 1 minute.
So,
Who's talking?
we have to ask you a question, yeah?
Are you going to ask me? I don't know if I can answer it. But
Okay.
you can ask any question. It doesn't have to. You could refer to a specific speech or a specific
I have a
thing.
question, Igor. I have a question. So I think if the SATs of the black people are low, then they have no right to go in the university.
Not universities,
There is
just
the
AB and
community or something, some university that request the STs.
They have low SAT score because since they went to high school,
Yes.
they were discriminated against and went to a black high school that had very bad teachers. With affirmative action, we let them go to the good white school that will let them study like the white kids and have the same knowledge to get the same SAT score.
But they are still.
Black people don't have a smaller brain than white people. If you're saying that,
Yes,
if
I'm
you
saying
yeah, they're not getting high SAT scores because they're not getting the same education as white people. That's the reason. There is no other reason. And they're not getting that education because of racism. And affirmative action will stop that racism and make every school accept black people, whether they like it or not.
I think why they have low SAT scores is because themselves, not because bad teacher.
So you think they're all bad? They don't
No,
like
no, no.
study?
They
I don't know this one.
they might don't like study because some people
It
still
doesn't make
can.
sense because you are Chinese, so
You're
you don't
racist.
like to study.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
No, that's
no, come on,
that's not
this-
possible. It can't be stereotyped. That's stereotype. Not, it's like
No,
from
I'm
the
not
beginning,
stereotyping.
it's
Maybe they didn't work harder.
You're saying.
Okay, guys, I gotta flip it back. So Team B, questions for Team A?
Okay, I got a question.
Right.
Diego, you said that black people are not provided enough with possibility to educate themselves. Why so? We can.
That's just what Abdulaziz said. Because black people, because of the history, they weren't able to have the same education as white people.
They're still not getting accepted. Like, see, you saw Odin in school?
No, I mean about school.
Odin,
You can
you
go
saw
to
the movie,
school if you're motivated for getting high scores in the SAT,
I know, but that's
any exams.
it's about
You
to
can
school,
do it.
man.
It doesn't depend on how good are your classmates or if you want to be good, if you want to study good, you go home and if you don't have an internet, if you don't have enough books or SAT preparation books, you go to the library. Library, you can attend it in any city in the United States, I think. Yeah.
Why?
So
Why?
you're saying white people have more opportunity than black people?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. They have more opportunity because of racism.
No. I'm saying if
Yeah,
you want
they-
to.
How come they don't have good schools that can teach them good about the
I
SAT?
said
Why?
if they have not a good school or not a
Yeah,
good
but
teacher,
why
if
do
you
all
say
black people have no good school? Is that a
Why they have to
coincidence?
go to the library and white
Why?
people don't have to go?
you don't understand me. I said if you're motivated for getting a high score, you can go to the library. You can.
That's what we're saying. We don't want them to go to the library. We want them to be like treated like white people and don't need to go
So
to
you're
the
saying
library.
that white people are not going to the libraries?
No,
for
I'm saying that they
extra
have
information?
teachers. in
Okay, guys,
school.
because of time, we gotta continue.
Same, you can
So
ask your
mine's-
teacher in school to give you an extra lesson or just.
They're in bad
Trust
school.
me, extra lessons cost money.
So
So anyway,
that's
why is it- why
because
does it have
of
to
the
pay?
income.
You can ask your teacher.
Their income is low because of racism,
So
not because they're stupid. There's no
And
other
plus
reason.
they pay taxes.
So we should do the affirmative action depends on income rather than gender or skin color.
No, but
interesting
even
point, guys, but we gotta move on. So I wish we could continue that. I think because of time, we'll skip the next question and answer and we'll do it at the end. Okay, so we'll go right through 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, and then we'll do questions at the end. Okay, so let's continue. Thank you for your interesting comments and
5,
questions.
6.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about how affirmative action should be used in the United States. There was, of course, everyone knows the long history of racism in the United States, how black people were not even allowed to sit in front of the bus. Very simple things. They pay taxes every year, like white people. They pay taxes for the state universities, for the good public schools, for the bad public schools, for the libraries, for many things. Many of the big companies in the United States, even some private companies get funds from the government. So almost many things in the United States are funded by the government, and they pay these taxes. Everyone pays taxes, including black people. And since we want the United States to be an equal country, of course many white people agree, and I'm sure that most white people don't mind accepting black people. But we can't go running after every racist school headmaster or racist administrator because he doesn't want to accept someone because he's black. When he has a paper saying you have to accept 15% black people, he will accept them, whether he's racist or not. He will still accept them. Students starting at a disadvantage need a boost. That's what we're talking about. When you're born, you know you're black. You know that just 2009 was the first black president after 3 centuries. Only one black president. You can notice that you are living in a racist country. If it wasn't racist, you'll find half of it, like many congressmen that are black, many senators that are black. You don't find that in the United States. This is with affirmative action. Now I'm telling you everything, and affirmative action is included. So let's say you want to take off affirmative action. You won't find any black guy in it. You find them all on the streets in McDonald's. When you say it's wrong, why? Like, it's only 15%. Like you can't put 15% in, even if white people are going 85%. So there's no discrimination between races. Discrimination is when you choose someone over the other. But when you equally choose both races, there is no discrimination in that. Thank you. I finished person 5. Person 6. Fortune 500 companies is one of the biggest, like they say, the biggest companies in the world. And recently they made statistics about how many Black African Americans are CEOs or president of these 500 companies. How many do you think? Since 15% of the US, it's supposed to be 75, at least with affirmative action. Now we're talking about affirmative action. 15% to 75. So how many do you think, Bruce?
As you said from the previous class, 9.
9? No, I said 8.
Oh.
Yeah, 8. Please, next time don't try to say things you don't even know. In the history of these 500 companies, on the history, there are only 13 Black people who ever became presidents or CEOs. And now active are only 8 of them. So only 8 Black African Americans out of 500 other white CEOs. And Harvard, with affirmative action, doesn't accept 15%. Why is that? They accept only 10%. People won't stop racism, that's why we have to enforce these laws. You can't go to everyone and say stop being racist. He will be racist whether you like it or not. But when he has papers and percentages to do, he can't say no. He will put the racism away. Even if he accepts a black person and he doesn't want to, he'll do it so he doesn't get fired. That's the only way we can do it. We can't go after every administrator and check whether he's racist or not. I think there are more than 500,000 companies, shops, or maybe 1 million shops in all of the United States. You can't go after every shop and every worker trying to figure out who's racist and who's not. Thank you.
Alright, I'm ready. Quiet, please. Thank you. Our group is not supporting racist or discrimination in USA and all around the world, but we're against some parts of affirmative action. It's a nice idea to have a special program which will reduce level of racism and discrimination in such a multicultural country like USA and ours, especially when it has such a long history of discrimination against blacks. But sometimes such systems which have like a good goal doesn't work that well. As for example, as I said before, where there was a case with black students in Ivy League. As not that many black students are applying there, so almost all of them who applied got in because of affirmative action. But in a year, many of them were in a really difficult position and almost expelled because we couldn't follow the program. And it's not because we're black, or it's only because we got accepted when we're not that academically strong to follow the program. And I think it's really bad when, for example, you got into university and like in a year you find out you just can't do it because it's not your level. And I'm not saying because you're black or anything else, but just because students who was hoping to get in because of affirmative action, we just didn't have the good results and didn't work that well, that's why. So there are some things that could be changed about it. And done with person 5. And person 6. Take a closer look at nowadays world's situation. Everyone is judged by their skin color, bank account, and education. As for me, in my opinion, it's another sort of discrimination. And as we believe affirmative action should be colorblind, so in every application form, in every in every application form, there should be no race. There should be only citizenship and your results, your deeds, your college, and so on. People should be judged in order to keep the affirmative action working by their income level. There should be some notes about their education, their will to education. As for me personally, I would not allow people who believes only what they will get accepted into the university because of affirmative action and doesn't work at all. If you want to be in a good university, just work. Show people what you work. Even if you don't have such nice opportunities, you have a motivation. Usually, people with lower income have more motivation with people who get higher income, and this is always helpful. So, as I already said, such a system as affirmative action should be colorblind and should be totally changed in order to reach our goal. Thank you.
Okay, so
سمي بالله وخش على طول. تقرا القرآن كله؟
Okay. I'm an Arab. Those I feel a bit of what blacks felt back in '61 when President Kennedy introduced affirmative action. Any ethical person would know what's right and what's wrong, or the awareness of racism throughout the world and USA wouldn't have increased at the rate of in-person lifetime. Can you imagine that even in Israel, the Israeli education minister announced an affirmative action policy promoting that Arabs would be granted 25% of the education budget, more than their share in the population, which is 80%. When you treat blacks and other ethnic groups within your country differently and not provide them with the same education, they will become a tool in your country, because it's a human instinct to explode and try to get what he wants in means possible, even if it's were legal. That's personal.
Yeah.
We can't wait until all blacks die and say, "Oh, we made a mistake." For some people in poverty, jail is vacation. They get free food and place to sleep. Why do we need racist cupcakes to wake up? If you don't know the racist cupcakes. Racist cupcakes to wake up when we all have logic. And don't forget, for people in poverty, building an empire is harder than carrying on one. Step, 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 and crush, crush, crush doesn't work anymore. It's time to give, give, give. Why have poverty plans? People don't have houses. Okay, we know you're rich, but can you keep it to like? Okay, we know that you're rich. Can you keep it to one room? Why do you have 52 rooms when people have no room? Who taught you?
تحمس حياتك كذا ما تدور الكينج قاعد يتكلم مو بنقرا.
Okay, Chris, you can just go straight on to Chris, straight through. So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll probably, if the bell rings, I'd ask you just out of respect to give Bruce his time.
So based on my teammates' statement, I think we made a fair point that affirmative action does more harm than it benefits. First of all, there are several reasons why we think that way, but first of all, it causing more discrimination. As Diego just said, like white people may hate black nowadays, but if you have a affirmative action, they will hate them more. I mean, if a black person take a white person's job away because his skin color, not his more intelligent than him, I think they will cause more problem with them, like racism. And also they're causing a stereotype that maybe black people get into a job or university didn't because he's intelligent, but because his skin color or gender, whatever. So what I think is affirmative action is harmful for the US, and history can never change. As Bill already said, the discrimination in US can never be corrected before and now. We should put our focus on future more. And now, American society, I've never been there, but I've been. It's more fair than before. So I don't think we need affirmative action anymore, because it divides people from gender, sex, gender is sex, color. So it's not colorblind. As since I'm Chinese, in China, the government also give minority ethnic group more policy, more benefits to get in college. They can get 10 plus on their test, but still the minorities still thinks we are discriminated them. They hate us and they kill several people from my ethnic group. So I would think that affirmative action didn't help out. And which I quote from an American woman, from his comment on why American women didn't celebrate the March 8th, the International Women's Day, I guess. True quality means you don't have to be treated differently. That's it.
Okay, I have a question to you.
Yes.
You said that Americans, if the because of affirmative action, white, like blacks will take places of white people that are smart and blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yes.
So if the thing would happen, now America has they have one of the best economists in the world.
Yes.
If that would happen, you say would be like
Никогда.